you know, all these companies that have faced one thing after another, whether it's Google in China or Google with the hack that they didn't disclose for 6 months, or it's Facebook with so many things. I mean, the elections, the issues around fake news, the issues around bots, the issues around the Russians and everything, you know, to Twitter with Alex Jones and things like that. These are issues that are like hitting tech, and that leaves out automation and robotics and all these other issues that are societally impactful.
And it leaves out one of the things we mentioned there in the introduction, and that is the presence of, let's say, compromised money.
Right.
That is
well,
either
the Saudis, yeah.
Well, it could be the Saudis, but it doesn't stop there.
No, the Kuwaitis, the Chinese,
the Chinese, and other regimes,
right, exactly.
where the money may come from that is less than pristine. You propose the idea of finding chief ethics officers and installing them. Who are those people,
well,
and where would you find them?
Well, academics. There's a lot of people studying this stuff at various, there's a bunch of AI ethics people. There's all kinds of people actually studying these issues and the impact of social media, especially on our society. And in a previous New York Times column, I talk about the weaponization of everything, that these things amplify and weaponize things. And the people who are running these companies are ill-prepared to understand the impact of what they've created. And that's I would like them to have people around them that will allow them to think about that, because it's not, you know, you could do this for Wall Street, you could do this for the defense industry, you could do this for a lot, but these are people who say they're changing the world and always tout themselves as the better thing, when in fact a lot of their inventions are very damaging to society.
But for some of the examples that you cited, Kara, I mean, the CEO, him or herself, should realize, hey, we had a data breach. We should disclose that to investors.
Sure.
Or the board should be the conscience of the company. And time and time again, they have failed. So why bring in, I mean, isn't it still the CEO? Isn't it still the board? Don't they have a lot to sort of answer for in these cases?
It should be, but think about someone, say, like Mark Zuckerberg. Didn't complete college, never took a humanities course, has not been schooled in this, and I know he's been trying to since then, to try to learn a lot of things. But here's one person who has complete control over this company, who is ill-prepared to deal with some of the impact.
Do you think Sheryl Sandberg was saying to him, hey, Mark, this is what we should do. We should do this instead. And he said, I have control of the company. I've got
No, I don't. No, I think they don't think about it at all. I think, you know, they're so non-self-reflective. It's a miracle they can see in the mirrors in Silicon Valley. They're like vampires, you know what I mean? Like, they don't reflect at anything.
Well, all those stocks that we brought up have one thing in common. They're all publicly traded. So, I mean, in the world of raising money, it's very different for a public company to do it versus a private company that's venture-backed. So, does this ethics kind of proposal carry over into how these private companies at early stages also try to raise their ethical profile, and how do they do it differently than public companies do, if at all?
Well, I had a really interesting interview with the woman who is a lawyer for Google and Twitter in the early days, and she explained how you create the pillars of your creation. If you put things around virality, you're going to get fake news. If you put it around relevance and truthfulness, you get a different outcome. They've been designing for speed and virality, and it moves into the things, the problems we have. And so what you have to do is you have to figure out, when you're designing these companies, the possible implications. And that's why I say there's not going to be a chief ethics officer, because they don't want anyone to slow the brakes. And this is someone who would slow the brakes and say, maybe we should pay more, maybe we should have human moderators. What's going on here in Myanmar? What about India? But they have to start considering these, because they're causing damage all over the world. And these technologies have massive impact, and in the future are going to have even more so.